Could you first of all introduce yourself, please?
My name is Richard Patrick, and I'm the guitar player, singer, mixer, producer, programmer, drummer. As you know, the Amalgamut, our new record that we just have out, is actually more of a band type sound. I never wanted to be Neil Diamond. I never wanted to be Prince. I wanted to be Led Zeppelin. I wanted to be the Rolling Stones. I wanted a team, a brotherhood. I got that finally.
And you definitely got it live, because we watched the show and it was totally packed, a huge stadium, and people.
Yeah, the kids were great. The audience, they were on. Did you see them all doing this thing, clapping above their heads? It was awesome.
Yeah, especially in the beginning when you were like, "I'm going to marry a Dutch girl and live here and have a zillion of kids."
Yeah, absolutely.
You like Holland?
I love Holland. I think the people are wonderful. I love the cities. I think the music scene's awesome. Take a look around. I mean, you guys got something beautiful here. You really do.
Yeah, especially the weather.
Oh, the weather's not. Well, the weather. I know it's rainy, but it's got to rain. You need the green. You need the green trees, don't you?
Yeah, we're sitting in a puddle of mud actually here. But hey, we're talking about your new album. When you set out to make it, did you have a special idea? Did you know what you wanted to make?
I knew I wanted a record that went from being very bombastic in the beginning to a very mellow, not a happy, but an optimistic vibe to it. And then once I got that, when I wrote about 10 songs, the last 2, I decided to make like really weird. So the record starts off, it's really hard, and then it gets kind of anthemic, and then it gets optimistic, and then it gets hard again, and then it gets weird. So I love that. I think it's a really well-rounded record, and I'm really proud of it.
Do you have the feeling that you guys are growing to something? Because every album it's getting more balanced, etc. Like this last album is like the most balanced Filter album ever. I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. No, we're definitely growing, and I think that the main reason for that is I decided on title record that I wasn't going to limit myself musically, and I mean, let's face it, I'm not like bragging or anything, but my voice can be super heavy. I can scream with the best of them, but I can almost sound like boyish, or like a chorus, like a choral, or I can get really soft, and I think that is important in music. I think my favorite bands have always been like the Smashing Pumpkins or Jane's Addiction or Led Zeppelin or someone like that. They can be heavy, and they can rock with the best of them, but they can also mellow you out in such a way that you feel like your heart was touched. And that's my job is to touch people's hearts. That's what I want to do.
What is the Amalgamut? What does it mean?
Well, it's called the Amalgamut, and what it's the amalgam and mutt. See, in America, they tried this experiment. They said, let's put a bunch of refugees and people that were outcasts and blend them all together. And I'm 13th generation American, so I go back 400 years, all the way back to the Pilgrims and the Revolutionary War, and it's amazing. My family tree is pretty broad. And I would like to think that that's a good thing. Being a mutt's a good thing. And, when Al-Qaeda, I don't mean to take it to this point, but when Al-Qaeda and the Taliban is destroying everything else that's different from them, well, that's just like Hitler. That Hitler was, he was the same. If they don't look exactly like us, then screw them. Let's kill them all. That's just not right. You don't do that. You can't have that attitude. And what we have here in Western civilization is, you can be black, you can be white, you can be Muslim, you can be Christian, you can be anything, and as long as you don't kill anybody, you're okay. Well, they broke the first rule. They started killing people first, and then they, So I mean, that's the Amalgamut is essentially, to answer the question, is the mutt. It's the melting pot comes to fruition. This is what happens when you blend, and it's a good thing.
I was scooping through your lyrics, and I really couldn't find a lot of references to the 11th of September. The missing.
I never outright say anything that's about one specific event. The missing is about my lack of faith in what I call God. Now, what I believe in, my God is the conscience, the knowing, the knowledge of us as a species. I don't believe in some guy that sits on a hill and, says, this is my way, and I don't believe in that. I believe that God, I believe that my spiritualism is the knowledge, the bed of knowledge that everyone is contributing to. So what I'm ultimately saying in that song is I have a lack of faith in humanity. I have a lack of faith in people, sometimes. And the missing is, hey God, what do you think? All that is just basically, how could you do something like that? How could you just make me sad? You've done nothing but eliminate yourselves. They're blown to oblivion. Osama bin Laden's under a pile of rubble somewhere in Afghanistan, so he's gone. The Taliban, they're completely destroyed. What did he accomplish? The only thing he accomplished was making the United States incredibly patriotic and strong, and we're not going to let this shit happen again, goddammit. That's the way we feel over there.
If you guys play on stage, you play a little different than on a record, of course. The slower songs, the more beautiful songs, also get across to a large crowd. How do you get that?
I think that today we had a lot of fans. So they know the material. So we were in a really good mood up there. I mean, it really depends. That's what's wonderful about being live, is because yesterday we had a hard time. It was raining. The kids were just miserable. They were just not, and I understand. They had been out in the rain all night, and their tents were washed over. They had flooding where we were. So, we're up there. I'm going, what the hell? What am I supposed to do? I mean, I feel like serving you breakfast. I feel like making something for you. And it didn't happen. So, but that's it. That's live. Sometimes my voice is hoarse. Sometimes a guitar amp will blow up. In fact, I had monitor problems today. But that's what you want. I like it when Bono comes out and he's a little hoarse, don't you? And he's like, oh shit. Can you help me with this one? I love that.
Otherwise, you would just put on a record if you want the perfect sound.
You want to see us fuck up. You want to see either fucked up or fuck up. Which one do you want?
Number 4 song on the record, I think, is like the heaviest song on the record, as far as the chorus and the opener is, like the really bass riff it is. Could you tell something about that song?
I was basically the song's actually called Columbine, I think is what you're describing. And it's basically inside the mind of the guys that went into their high school and killed everybody in Columbine. So it's Columbine. And it's basically me just kind of making fun of them in their hysteria. See, it's deeper than just, it's about Columbine. There's a psychological thing too with my lyrics. I don't mean to brag.
But is it also something like saying, okay, we Americans, we do react all together on a thing like 11th of September, but sometimes we go way too far in reacting on really heavy things that happen, or?
Yeah, I think, listen, our country, you've got 400 million, I think. So you got 400 million different possibilities. You're going to have your Jeffrey Dahmers. And you're also going to have your Lance Armstrongs. So, I'm talking about everything. I mean, and the American cliche is another one. It's, don't be the cliche. Don't go out and buy a gun. It's like everybody in America has guns except me. I've never even seen a gun.
What sort of music do you listen to yourself next to Filter?
I listen to everything. I listen to,
From Bach to Slayer?
Yeah. I mean, Mozart, of course, that's my favorite guy, classical. Then Patsy Cline as far as country, Hank Williams Sr. As far as country, Pantera, Deftones, Dragpipe, Neil Diamond, John Denver, Oasis, anything. I will listen to anything and like it. That's, a lot of people are so critiqueful over music, and I choose not to be, because it's not doing me any good if I'm bitching about it.
So what is good music?
Well, there's two kinds of music. There's good music and bad music. I think bad music is, in sync. I don't understand it. I don't want to say anything bad, but I have a hard time with that kind of stuff. I don't get it. What do they know about love? They're 17. They're little kids talking about love. They don't know what love's about. And someone else wrote the lyrics.
So music should be real?
Music should be written by the people who perform it. And it should be, artistically, I really got into Skinny Puppy ministry. I mean, you name it, I'm listening to it. As long as it's really good at what it is.
Thanks a lot for this interview.
Oh, no problem.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.